Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself, because I'm the maker of my own evil.
This is episode 190, recorded September 29th, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
And that's a good summary of the film we're going to talk
about. Sums it all up.
All right.
Doesn't get clearer than that.
I'm your host, Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. On this podcast, we're going to start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions of the movie, and then we'll move into general discussion of whatever trips our trigger. Hopefully relating to the film. Joining me tonight,
I heard it
Crystal
too.
Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl, and co-host of the Gruesome Magazine podcast.
Yeah, what's up? I have to say this is the first time I've seen this movie, and I'm actually really excited to talk about it.
Oh, good.
I cannot believe I haven't seen this one. I think it's actually kind of a masterpiece, honestly.
We'll talk about that. We also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the Classic Era, and
Superman.
The 1970s. Super Blue Chad. How you doing?
I got an octopus up my ass.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Well, oof. You just keep saying almost. Almost.
I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know if I should.
Last but not least is Bill Mulligan, right?
Wrong safe word. Wrong safe word.
Yeah.
Special effects guru and co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing all right, and I'm getting ready for a bit of a long trip, but got to watch this movie yesterday. The second time I tried to watch it, the first time I managed to get through it. And like Crystal, I'm really surprised at how much I liked it. So, yeah.
So I guess I should kind of announce that in case you're expecting Rawhead Rex, which was announced as our next episode, we do have a Rawhead Rex episode ready to go, but this kind of dropped in our lap at the last minute. And what happened was the infamous, famous, well-known film Possession has received a 4K restoration. And it'll be released October 1st through the 14th at the Metrograph, and you can see that in person or online. And then on October 15th, it supposedly released nationwide, I'm going to assume to some art house theaters or something. I haven't seen a list of the theaters that it'll go to. But we managed to, through Doc Rotten's many contacts, to receive a screening link to the 4K.
So that's cool. So it's going to be 4K release. So if anyone out there has a first date coming up and you want to make sure that there is no chance of a second date.
Actually, I would love it. Oh my God.
Okay. Yes, but you're taken. So the number of women.
It's a great relationship movie, right?
Oh yeah.
It is, though. That's what the whole thing is about.
I get into this a little more deeply. Possession, 1981, directed by Andrzej Zulawski and written by Andrzej Zulawski and Frederic Tuten. Special effects are by Carlo Rambaldi, at least for the creature. Mm-hmm. And the cast includes Isabella Johnny, Sam Neill, Heinz Bennett, Margie Karstensen, and Michael Hogben. It was filmed in Berlin. And it kind of looks like the whole thing is filmed within about 50 feet of the Berlin Wall back then.
Yeah.
Release date, May 27, 1981 in France at Cannes. And it did not get to the U.S.
Wow.
It did not get to... Okay, from now on, I'm saying Cannes.
Cans.
Canis.
Cans!
Can.
At the Motley Crue concert. Cans!
October 28th, 1983 in the U.S. All right. And drastically cut. It was also released as The Night the Screaming Stops as a U.S. reissue.
Almost read that as The Night the Screaming Stops Us. Stops
Well,
stops us reissue.
The budget was $2.4 million. The box
It
office
did not
for
make
the
it
U.S.
back.
It doesn't look like it. The box office was 1.1 million, and then something said 540,000 admissions in France. And I don't know how that translates to dollars. 1981, what that would be.
Good evening. I am Count Dracula.
And the synopsis is: a woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister.
A little bit.
Boy, howdy.
Yep. Well, there you go. Straightforward drama.
And there's a nice shot of Isabel and Johnny looking suitably disturbed and
looking crazy as she does so amazingly well throughout this movie.
She does. So now is the time for
the screaming starts. Yeah.
Now the real screaming starts.
So Chad,
what?
We only have 3 taglines.
Oh.
We did like 10 for Horror of Dracula last night. They were great.
Oh yeah.
Okay, taglines. You'll never go out alone at night again.
That's silly. Doesn't
Moronic.
even make any
What
sense.
movie was that for? Not this
Yeah.
one, obviously.
Oh,
We've
boy.
never heard
Well,
that. You've never seen
They
that.
got the little robots now that bring you food and, well, never mind.
Yeah.
She created a monster as her secret lover.
That's okay.
That gives away too much. That's
Yep.
that's a big shock when it shows up an hour into the movie. But if you read the tagline, I guess you'd be waiting for it and waiting and waiting and waiting. Okay, they're gonna bring it home with this one finally.
Yeah. Murder, evil, infidelity, and madness. All together wrapped up in a little nice little package.
I mean, it's missing monster.
Yeah.
But okay.
We're kind of getting all that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in
let's
fairness, the name of the movie is Possession, and there was no real obvious possession in the usual sense of the
I
word.
think it's like mentally.
Oh, I think it's a metaphor,
No.
like
Mhm.
everything else in this film. But anyone going to see this movie based on the poster, the title, the awful taglines, they must not have known what the hell happened.
all right.
You know?
First impressions. I'm going with Chad first.
Why me?
Because you haven't said much. That's why.
Oh my God.
Here's your chance.
We've made it clear how we feel.
Okay, first of all, I saw this movie at a drive-in midnight showing, and it went under the title "Now the Screaming Stops," with a bunch of other cheapy B-movie horror films. And this movie came up, and boy, for a 15-year-old kid, I was bored to tears with
Oh,
this movie.
wow. Okay.
Until
Boobs.
well, I was 15. Then the nudity came in, and I'm like, this movie's
yeah.
good after all. But I was freaked out by what ended up happening. I don't know if we're going to spoil this movie because I don't know how many people have seen it.
Oh yeah.
If you
we're
haven't
spoiling
seen,
it.
okay, so let's say if you haven't seen Possession, watch
Stop.
it before this.
Go see the
Yeah.
movie, come back to
because
the podcast.
we have to spoil it. It's just
There's no way you can't. You got to.
And it's best experienced unspoiled. You really want to go
And
for the
we're
ride.
going to have pictures. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Try over
Trust
to
us on this.
search the Metrograph theater, and it's very easy to get in and sign up for a viewing. I know it will cost you money. I just don't know how much. But just to break in for a second, Chad, I have the Blu-ray. I have a Mondo Vision Blu-ray, and the quality of this is way better. It's a great restoration, I think.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, I didn't see it before, but Yeah.
But I saw it at that theater and drive-in theater. I didn't care for it then because the 15-year-old story was a little sophisticated for a kid. But watching, and I've never seen it since then because it's so hard to find. So I was glad to watch it now. It's like a whole new movie to me now. You know, the life experience and experience, you know, all that kind of stuff. It kind of, you get it more. And I just found this a very heartbreaking in some places. It was just it was heartbreaking. In some scenes I was angry at how they would treat each other, and but at the same time, though you go through some pretty intense feelings when there's a split or when when you're at the end of a relationship. So I was really amazed at how much he could bring that to life and make it look real, for one thing. And the camera work really added to that spinning around and you know, it really added to the it was almost a claustrophobic feeling when that happened. So I on a bigger I guess thing now, I appreciate it a lot more now. So yeah, I enjoyed it more. I'll say that.
Okay. Let's hear from Crystal now. I can't wait.
I've never seen this, but oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about this movie. I just know that Jeff said something about an octopus or something, octopus sex or something before I watched it. So I kind of knew something like that was going to happen. But this story, so it's an art film. Ultimately, it's about divorce, and then obviously their doppelgangers are their perfect vision of what their spouse should be or would be, you know, instead of what they actually are. Like, to me, that's what they seem. And then did you notice, like, at the end, the two perfect spouses are coming back together to be together, and then that's why the kid goes and kills himself, because it's about how hard divorce is on the kids too, and then sometimes staying together is worse for the children than just splitting up. Yeah, and so that's why the kid just went F this. So, like, it's really brilliant in that regard because it really is wrapped in a crazy madness spiral of, God, they go off the rails. And I can't believe it, but I think Sam Neill did an amazing job as well. I mean, obviously she did a good job. There were points where I thought she could have toned it down a little, if I'm being honest. Like the miscarriage, but
I thought that was amazing.
It was an interesting scene. I mean, for me, like, it was in essence a nervous breakdown, really, more than, what we were watching. But yeah, I really, really liked it. It's a different type of horror. I mean, like, when I say, I want to go watch a horror movie, this isn't what I wouldn't be like, this is the one. I like raunchy and gory and whatever, but it's phenomenal. And the monster is it's amazing. Like, and I love when it shows him and then he's like, I was like, oh, this is so good. Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's fabulous. Mm-hmm.
It was, we can talk about that later, but the idea of the monster was, not everybody agreed with what the plan was on that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The behind the scenes stuff here is crazy.
So, Bill.
Oh, hey. So I tried to watch this a while ago, a long time ago. It was the VHS version or whatever, the one that's been cut down, and I just didn't get through it because this ends up being one of those movies that I shouldn't like Suspiria. All the things I like about movies, this movie lacks. I'm not a big fan of artsy-fartsy European movies where two people sit in bed and argue about God and Yugoslavia, and it always ends with an atomic bomb. I was just like, okay, yeah, very interesting. And I snooze out. But this one is brilliant. I mean, when I'm watching it, I'm just like, well, this is a masterpiece. Crystal said so, and I agree. I don't understand it. I don't know if I'm supposed to. And maybe having, been through a divorce, the scariness of that maybe it is something you can't appreciate when you're 15, like Chad said. I think Isabelle Adjani's performance is one of the bravest performances I've ever seen. Yeah, it's over the top, but it works. That scene in the subway is, I mean, it's like I'm actually watching an actress have a nervous breakdown, which from interviews is pretty close to what was actually happening. This movie looks like it was brutal on everyone involved. Yes, it makes no sense. Every now and then it breaks into almost like an action movie. There's car crashes and things explode. And you're like, wait, what happened here? This is suddenly Armageddon, and then we're back to weirdness. Yeah, God, what a crazy pants movie. And then the monster shows up. And at that point, that should be the weirdest thing in the movie.
And it's just not.
If they had showed that in the first 20 minutes or so, you'd be like, okay. But by the time you get to it, you're like, sure, Cthulhu's here. Why not? And man, what a strange film. What a strange film. But boy, directed really well. Cinematography, sharp, beautiful composition. You know, maybe some of it's a little obvious with the mirrors and everything else, the whole theme of doppelgangers and everything. But so what? This is one of those movies you can analyze and argue about. I doubt that anyone's going to come up with a perfect solution where you're going to go, aha, it all makes sense now. I don't know if the people making it ever had that moment. But I really enjoyed it. I'm glad. And again, if it weren't for this podcast, I don't think I ever would have given this another shot, because trying to get through it the first time, and I think I had a bad copy and it was definitely edited, and I just wasn't in the mood for this sort of thing. I never would have given this a second try if you hadn't sprung this on me. I'm like, oh yeah, great. I remember that one. No, I like this a lot. I would not watch this with someone to introduce them to the joys of horror movies.
No.
You know?
No. Well, maybe European art films. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe if I want to impress someone about how intellectual I was, I'd put this one on and I'd nod knowingly watching the movie and see it's like whether they figure out that I'm just bullshitting them.
I had to read
your turn, Jeff.
I had to read the Wikipedia plot to
what does it say?
Understand why there was that car crash with the police and stuff.
What was there?
It had something to do with that was Margie's apartment, and so I don't know. I'm telling you, we were talking about this beforehand. The Wikipedia plot is just literally like the sequence of scenes. It doesn't always explain what the heck's going on.
They don't even know.
No, of course.
So it says he returns to Margie's apartment to find it surrounded by police and his former employers. He stages a distraction, allowing someone, possibly Anna, to sneak away in his car, but he is wounded in the ensuing shootout, fleeing on the motorbike. So anyway.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. He fleed on the motorbike. All right. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm getting kind of this reaction from you guys, because I've wanted to do this for a long time, but like Chad said, it's just not available streaming, or it was a high price or something. And we try to keep it, reasonable for everybody. I had watched it again. I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I did see it had to be close to the full version. So it wasn't too long ago, maybe 10 years ago. And I saw it not too long ago, and I found a Blu-ray from Mondo Vision that I went ahead and got. That's got lots of. I thought I'm going to find out what this is about. There's lots of interviews with Andrzej Zulawski and some other people, Sam Neill and Isabelle Adjani, and I had still. If you don't find out from Zulawski, because he gets irritated with the person who's interviewing him. Like, well, it's obvious.
Oh God.
So.
No, it's not, Andre.
No,
it's not. But anyway, I love this movie, and I told Doc the other day I almost peed my pants when he sent this link to us. You guys want to do this? I'm like, ah! So, and we wanted to get it out timely with the release, so that's why we slotted it into the schedule. I
gotta say, Jeff, that cracked me up when you're like, "Are you guys sitting down? I've got something really big." I'm like, "Oh boy!" And it's like, "We're gonna watch Possession." I'm like, "Oh boy."
That's what it was for me. That's the way it was for me.
But you were right.
Ugh,
You were right.
wow. So anyway, and again, the 4K restoration is excellent, even on the streaming. So
Yeah, it looked beautiful. It really
Absolutely
did.
gorgeous.
yeah, there's much more detail, and there's some of the creatures you see different detail of it because it's sort of dark and murky on even the Blu-ray that I have.
Mhm.
So they fixed that pretty well. So anyway, yeah, it's really hard to know what's going on. I mean, in general, you have Sam Neill, who I find out now was like a secret agent or something.
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
spy.
Yeah, that was away on some mission, and he comes home, and his wife is fed up and has started an affair with this
Heinrich.
oddball,
Quirky
Heinrich.
German guy.
Yeah.
this
so
weird
good.
new age German guy who's into, like, I don't know what was those fighting moves he was doing.
It was the worst kung fu I've ever seen in my
But it was enough to kick Sam Neill's ass.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Oh,
you didn't get the
yeah.
James Bond training that the British get.
So yeah, so then they're
He's
running
not
around
in-
looking,
yeah, in
and at some point, you know, they're fighting, they're screaming and yelling at each other, and it is, and then she's, you know, at some point he's trying to find out where she is. He must be over his house, and pretty soon Gunther's calling him. Where's Anna? She's not here. And then you figure out she's not with them. She's someplace else. And he hires a detective and tracks her down. And it is one disturbing apartment with
Yeah.
a disturbing thing in the apartment. So,
Horrible
And that-
wallpaper.
A lot of milk. A lot
It's
of
so,
milk.
it's
So-
so dirty.
So much milk.
peeling wallpaper grunge. So this is set literally like when you walk out of the apartment that she's in, that I just described, the really grungy place that she's kind of creating the creature in. The Berlin Wall is right outside the door.
Oh, it's literally right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it runs down the middle of the street, actually.
You'd think
So-
they'd make the apartments there nicer looking just to make the East Germans feel jealous, but
Yeah, probably a hard time. And when you look out the windows, even at his apartment, you can see the Berlin Wall because he looks out the window and sees the East German guard standing out there with binoculars looking
Yeah.
in the windows.
Yeah.
yeah, they're getting an eyeful.
So anyway, I love this. I love the idea of it. It's crazy because some of the sequences are out of order. I mean, like the subway scene is actually something that happened while he was gone. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah,
I just kinda-
because it didn't feel like a flashback like it should have.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it did. But I guess is the premise that this miscarriage that she had, this is the birth of the creature that she's then nurturing.
That's what I'm assuming.
I just pulled that out of my hindquarters because it's not very clear.
That sounds like a hindquarter idea.
Whatever,
I'm just kidding.
whatever you think. Whatever you think.
Ah.
So, rather than me,
We can't ask the director because he'd yell at us. Also, he's dead. So
Oh.
yeah,
what, like maybe 4 years ago?
yeah, not that long ago.
That's too bad.
It is.
So let's take a look. Bill put together these, Isabella Johnny, and she looks
Amazing.
seriously.
But let me just say,
Yeah.
guys, if you have a woman and she ever looks at you like that bottom picture, you need to run as fast as you can. Even if it's in your house, leave the house. Leave
Also-
your own damn house.
Also, guys, if you see a woman like the one in the above picture with blood coming out of her mouth, run.
I would rather have to deal with the blood than
Yeah.
that look. That is the look where something bad is going to happen to you.
well.
Yeah.
And there are some scenes here where. So anyway, she's
She's a
great. in
beautiful
this.
woman.
As,
She's
as Crystal said, she kind of goes over the top in some places, but I think it kind of fits. And to me, that's where the
Oh, yeah.
possession is. You know, the way she acted in the subway was being that the thing that she's creating can control other people, is what it seemed like to me. It sometimes controlled her, sometimes controlled even Heinrich.
Mhm. That's what I think.
yeah.
That's what I got from it, because everybody had their own little possession thing going. Sam Neill had his possession.
Well, they were
of his
like
wife.
walking
Yeah.
around and spinning around and crap.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
the she had it. So that's what it seemed like, and it did seem like when people got near the creature, it sort of influenced them somehow.
Definitely.
So that could be part of the possession. Who knows? Like when he
Oh, yeah.
walked into the room and Heinrich starts flipping out and
Spazzing out, yeah.
like he couldn't walk, and
so weird.
Yeah, it
But-
is.
But you know,
I-
she's
but I
perfect
don't
for
know
this
about
because her face is so expressive. She's
Mhm.
beautiful, but she can look terrifying, and she can portray madness like just about nobody else.
I probably pulled 20 pictures of her off the internet looking for
Mhm.
stuff to use in the blog or on the feature images, and there's just so many of them, you know. And you've got a bunch of those, some of those later on. So she has been nominated for a couple Academy Awards. I believe they're both foreign films. Like one was like Claude and Claudel. Does that ring a bell to anybody?
Hmm.
And the other one is a French title that I'm not even going to pretend.
I feel, yeah, there's something that she was in. I can't remember, but I saw it and she was very good in it.
Well, she was pretty hot stuff there for a while, and then
Mhm.
got a reputation for being difficult, apparently.
Oh.
And so then
No,
they
that'll
sort of
kill
felt
you.
like that's why she took this movie.
Yep.
That didn't pay very well. And Zulawski said she was fine, except for one spot, which had to do with wearing the green contacts to become the school teacher, Hannah. Anna becomes Helen.
Yeah.
That's it, Helen.
And that I mean, she's so good as Helen. Helen is such a polar opposite.
Mhm.
I mean, there's some tremendous range in this movie.
Yeah.
And,
that was cool too, because it's they both sort of spawn their own doppelgangers.
mhm.
You know,
That's
and,
what I'm saying. That's their perfect image
Yeah.
of
Right.
what their spouse should be
Right.
or what they
Right.
want their
Right.
spouse to be.
Right, Helen's the perfect mom, the perfect
Yeah.
girlfriend, the
Yeah,
perfect everything.
Yeah.
And
Mark Sam Neill comes home. The apartment is totally trashed. There's crap everywhere. Anna's walking through, just throwing stuff around. At one point, she says, I forget what it is she says she's doing, but she's packing or something, but she takes clothes and sticks them in the refrigerator, and then she takes some other stuff and dumps it. It's crazy. And then Helen shows up, and she has no problem cleaning up Anna's mess. Just magically, it's all cleaned up when he notices. Makes dinner, takes care of the kid, doesn't say anything, and no problem whatsoever.
Oh, we don't have to have sex too. When there was the
Perfect
issue
little
before,
housewife,
yeah.
right? Yeah, well, so.
and then you get the question: how real is she? Is she because he's the only one who notices that she is a complete perfect copy, except for the eyes, of his wife. Nobody else seems to comment on that, and I guess they don't see it, which is crazy in most movies, but makes perfect sense, I guess, in this one.
So I think that the idea of the what you said, Chad, the good and bad doppelganger thing, also plays with the location, with East and West Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
So it's that one apartment.
I like that.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
this movie has layers, Donkey.
Yep.
A lot of layers.
Oh, you know what? I was going to mention. Oh, go ahead.
Well, please go ahead.
We have done another movie with Isabel Adjani.
Oh, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Okay.
She was great in that too.
Yes, she was.
She has a strange presence. I mean, she's undeniably beautiful, but there's I don't know, there's some quality to her that
Something off.
Yeah. In Nosferatu, there was almost like an angelic quality, such a contrast against Kinski's evil and corruption. Here, oh boy, it's something.
I don't know. She said it took her years to recover, as I recall in some interviews, and that she would never do another movie like that. Like, I don't think there is another movie like that.
And I don't think so either. Kramer versus
Chad,
Kramer was not this movie.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Chad?
Forgot. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
something else.
there isn't going to be another one like this. If anyone tries to show madness on the screen or a total mental breakdown on the screen, it's going to be compared to this.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably,
If more people saw this, I've seen this referenced a few times, but by people who probably are kind of like winking at you. It's like, here's something you're not going to catch on. It's like, wait a minute. If you've got anyone swinging around groceries and smash them against the wall, it's like possession.
Well, then, and well, it's on top of that. It's everything. The physical part of it is what the F, and the what you're seeing, the effects are what the F, and the. I mean, she ends up collapsed in that subway with
stuff
the
coming out of her.
Apparently you
red
guys
stuff coming
now,
out of her ears or something.
so I'll just
and
tell
then-
you, like, apparently y'all are used to like very mentally stable people, because this is not that.
I'm not. I felt right at home here.
Yeah, this is not
Dang.
that crazy. I'm just being completely honest with you. Like, this isn't. That's why I'm saying she overdid it a little, because I've seen. I had a nervous breakdown, so I know. I mean, and I wasn't all that far off from what she was doing, but she went a little far to me. I mean,
Well,
I guess everyone doesn't have it the same way,
No.
but like, I was very young too. But like, I feel like it's pretty. It's not that weird. It's not.
With the scene,
It's
I know
good
that
acting,
sounds
though.
crazy. Oh no, the acting is fabulous. She's
the
fabulous.
scene in the subway,
I
it
think
just
it's kind of true too.
it's brutal because it's a lot of it is one take. Like, he holds the camera on her, and
Yeah.
you feel like she is physically giving everything she has, and just waiting for the guy to yell cut, and it ain't coming. He's not gonna yell cut until she passes out, and she's convulsing and looks like she's being electrocuted, and just it feels that's the one part that they probably looked at and said, yeah, we're gonna call this possession, because she looks like
Yeah.
she's trying to cast out a demon.
There was parts in that scene where I would have swore she was going to smack her head against that.
Yeah.
She's like jerking back, and she's standing right by the wall, and I thought, holy crap.
Yeah, this movie,
Great body control.
it's a hard watch. It can be a hard watch in some spots. It's very disturbing, very real. You know, some of the interactions with the characters and stuff is very real and raw. So, yeah, there's like I said, there's layers here, and a lot of it's left to interpretation.
Yeah.
Of the person watching it, and which makes it even better, because I always like it best when you don't have definitive answers about every little thing going on. And this movie serves, it delivers on that. You don't know what's going on
Yeah, I mean, how the heck was he able to find her letters from this
Yeah.
dude? Anyway, he went through. He's like, with those books, he's like, I feel like dream catchers. You know,
Right,
when they're
right.
looking for something.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
look at that face in the middle. It looks like he could.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think the point, there was something about those books. It was, oh, this is how you perverted or corrupted her or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the books were, but I guess he didn't like her reading books, or were they all sort of new agey?
maybe that's what it was. Maybe I just didn't understand that those were out of place.
Communing with Ramdam or something.
Did anyone else, or am I just reaching here? Did anyone else sort of get a little bit of a flashback to Cronenberg's The Brood?
Yeah.
Like, this
I
would be a great
absolutely
double
did.
feature. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's body horror and the sense that she is creating
Yeah.
this creature. You know, just-
Well, and the creature at the end was like half human. You saw it like when
Right.
they were, it was half human, which I'm assuming was him, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That
it was
creature turned
becoming,
into
like,
the
yeah.
body. Yeah. So
And-
that's that. Maybe that's why she was saying almost. He's almost.
He's
finished.
almost-
Yeah, he's
yeah,
almost
she-
ready.
Yeah, he's
because he
almost-
started out looking completely inhuman, and
Yeah.
now he's tentacally human, and there's
Yeah.
parts of him that are human. And now, if we can just work on the limbs.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting about it, is that like she was like almost, and she thought she would be with the perfect version of him, but of course not. Like, they both have to change to be able to be together, but they're still the same people. They're going to go back to their same thing, and so that's why all the bombs and everything was going crazy outside, because it's just ready. It's just about everything's about to explode.
Everything's
Blindfolds, children. Blindfolds.
Yep. Very scary.
Well, there's, you know,
I mean, yeah, this is tastefully presented.
so
Think of
That's
it
a
when I
cool
went to see
monster.
it at the drive-in. Think of it as 10 times darker. I couldn't see what was
Yeah.
going on.
It's a cool
Right,
monster. We don't
right.
see a lot of him, but we probably see as much of him as we should. Because if the story that I read about how they got this particular version of the
Yeah.
monster sounds like they literally whipped this up with a couple
They-
days' notice.
Really? Because it's awesome. Like, I
Well-
think it's so cool.
So Zulawski tells that story on one of the things on the Blu-ray, and it's crazy. Like they're going back and forth with Rambaldi is in L.A. and sending sketches back and forth and stuff. Then at some point they said we need him out there to shoot, and he shows up and he says something like, "How much time before we see the monster?" And he goes, "Tomorrow." Oh wait, his response is, well, when I did Third Encounter or Close Encounters of the Third Kind, we had 6 weeks before we showed the little silver guy, and then we took weeks shooting them from all these different angles. And Zulawski's like, yeah, well, we don't have that budget.
Yeah, I'm not Spielberg.
And we've got like one cameraman, so So they did. They whipped, and then he challenged them somehow. It was sort of like it can't be done, but then it sounded like Bill that they challenged him, and another guy got together and whipped something up.
So the monster.
He showed up with something.
Yeah, the monster that we see before this, which I couldn't find a good picture of. Boy, finding good pictures for this is ridiculous. The one that's just sort of sitting there with the eyes.
I like it with the mouth moving.
The mouth and the eyes.
Because that's the part you can see in the 4K that you can't see in the older versions.
Okay,
that's why you couldn't find a picture of that. That's
that was his original thing, and they were like, "That's not what we were thinking of."
Zulawski described it as a giant condom or dildo.
I was about to say it looks phallic.
It's very phallic, and that's what Rambaldi thought they were. It sounds like there was not a lot of communication going on. So for this scene, the top scene here, he did not have a lot of time to whip that together. But I think it's a brilliant monster. The coiling tentacles are what make it.
I wonder what they made that out of. Like it looks so cool.
I mean, Rambaldi, I'm kind of hit or miss with Rambaldi. I'll never forget the fact that he's responsible for the worst parts of the King Kong remake. But there are times when he does knock it out of the park. So, and this was definitely one of them. It's a creepy scene. The monster was limited in what it could do. But that's fine. We don't really need to see it doing much more than what it's doing. It sells that scene really well. And that's one of the most Lovecraftian images that has ever been put on film. I mean, that looks like it's right out of something horrible happening.
That reminds me a little bit of, have you seen Spring?
Yeah.
Does it remind you a little bit of where she ends up?
Yeah. It's about this couple that falls in love in Italy, and she's a little bit more than he bargained for. She can change shape in all these Lovecraftian type shapes. It's pretty good.
Nobody's perfect.
So and I think in the center picture, we can't see it here, but in that center picture, I was going to stop, freeze it to look better. It almost seems like you're seeing like inside the body is like lit up or something. Did you guys get that? Like you're
no,
like you're seeing the outside, and then I don't know.
It was hard to tell what was going on, but it was unpleasant and wet.
Yeah,
that guy's suit is awesome though. That shiny suit.
Oh yeah.
He had a lot of lint on his back though.
A lot of sharp dressers there.
Well, and then when it's in the bed and it's just a big soupy mess of blood.
Soupy mess of blood and milk. Let's just go with that.
Blood and something. Yeah.
That's so nice.
There's a tip for movie makers out there. If you really want to gross us out, we've seen blood. We've seen every shade of blood. You put a little white or yellow into that, and we're like, what the fuck?
Ew, yellow screams pus, which is so gross to me. Like, for some reason, blood, no problem, all day long.
My body's full of blood. If I cut myself, I expect blood to come out. I'm not happy about it. It's definitely not a good day, but that's normal. But if pus comes out, I've got problems.
There's nothing wrong with pus. It serves a purpose.
All right.
Okay.
So Sam Neill
so young in this movie.
Yeah, and their whole relationship, like the first scene you see is he's coming home with his suitcases. He's just told his bosses that I'm done. You need to hire a successor. And she runs outside. She runs up to him. He puts the suitcases down. He picks the suitcases up. It's like, I mean, I guess the idea is the shit's already hit the fan, and he's trying to figure out if she's going to let him in or not. Is that?
Yeah,
I don't know. It was just a very odd scene.
Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah, and that was pretty much a relationship. Did you notice, you talked about this a little bit, but there's a lot of scenes where they're never facing each other. Like they're having these conversations and they're always like askant or
there's the distances there.
Right.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, you talk about hard things to watch in this movie. The only parts that are hard for me to watch, besides the pus, are the breakup things. Because if you're lucky enough not to go through that, count your blessings. A good divorce is still a miserable time in your life. I had about as good a one as you can have, and it's soul destroying. Watching these people not looking at each other and watching this break apart, it was rough. That hit home.
And first he disappears for 3 weeks to a hotel and goes on a binge, I guess. And we find out how ruined a suit can be if you wear it every day and never change for 3 weeks. And then she disappears and leaves the kid alone. He comes home and the kid's covered with jam,
which apparently was an actual event from the director's life. And watching this movie, like watching The Brood, there's no doubt in your mind that this is based on some real pain, that the director was working out some issues here. And
he said he had gone through a divorce and the exact same thing happened. He came home and his wife wasn't late, left the kid alone, and he was covered with and to what Chad said at the beginning, there's Isabella Johnny does nude scenes as two different characters in this film.
That I allude to. 15-year-old me? Yeah.
So what
there
we're
she
talking
is.
about this subway scene,
just crazy.
It was crazy. It was disgusting.
Yeah,
gross, and it was just. But it's like a car wreck. You can't.
You cannot look away from this.
It makes me kind of want to do something with that, like in it, because I know I could do that.
That'd be a terrible cosplay.
That would be. If you ever want to shoot something like that, you got to call me because I got to be a part of that mess.
She seemed to like blue, right? It seemed like
blue. Blue seemed. I don't know, but blue looks good on her. I mean, I don't know anything about color theory or winter, summer colors, but she's a blue. Blue just works with her look, her skin, hair, everything. The blue just sets it off, and everything's blue. I mean, the background's blue. It's a blue movie. Which makes the red look poppin'. You've got that, and man, the blood in this movie is really
super red.
Yeah,
super red, but good in the right shade. It's not that hammer, day glow kind of paint thing. This one has got that more of that dirty. Doesn't actually look like real blood, but who cares? It looks good. It's got that shiny gelatin look to it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, there was a story about her. When getting her to take this part. Did anybody see that? She turned it down at first, and then I believe it was Zulawski and the producer saw My Brilliant Career, which had Sam Neill and another woman, and so they asked them both to be in it, and the other woman declined, and Sam Neill accepted, and then they were talking to this cinematographer, Bruno Nuytten, Nuytten, and about how he told them this would be a perfect part for Isabella Johnny, and they said, well, we offered it to her and she turned it down, and he goes, give me a day. Turns out they were going together. They actually had a child. They had a child together, and like the next day, she accepted the part. So
it's always like who you know.
Yeah. Now, is he the one who did the cinematography for this film?
Yeah.
Well, at least then she knew this should be taken care of.
Yeah.
Well, and Zulawski talks about this. Yeah, he talks about the low budget, and that in Europe, he's talking about this isn't. He kind of. I guess he isn't downgrading American films, but it's like they got so much money. They can have it shot from all these different directions, blah, blah, blah. But we just had one camera. and we wanted to have a moving camera, which they did a lot. He was carrying the camera, and he would like, and it wasn't once. And in real life, European apartment, normal apartment, it was small. There wasn't a lot of space, right? So he'd like follow them to a window and then have to back out as they turned around and came out. And Chad was talking about the going around. I don't know how they managed that. I thought it was brilliant the way they used the stairs in that final scene. Shooting that, coming at that from a lot of different angles. I really like this cinematography.
Yeah.
Lots of movement.
I mean, I could see where she would turn this down when you look at the script and what is expected. You could see where she'd be afraid she's going to look ugly and disgusting and everything. But knowing that the cinematographer is someone who's going to treat her right. So even in all this horror and carnage and madness, she's beautiful, which makes her, I think, scarier. Yeah.
Did you catch? I swear Sam Neill had a little touch of a German accent.
Yeah, I felt like it was coming in and out there for a few
Like he
scenes.
was trying that, as opposed to Australian or
New Zealand. I think he's New Zealand.
is it New Zealand? Yeah, Kiwi.
I love Sam Neill.
Yeah.
I think he's hotter now. I don't care.
He does look very boyish in this movie compared to the Sam Neill I'm used to seeing. So.
No.
He's done a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's Damien
in the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, he is, Damien. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we've done it. Was that? Oh, that was 70s, wasn't it?
That was
Damien.
what was it called? The Final Countdown. No, this was. He
He
was actually in the third one.
Oh, you're right. Omen
Yeah, I don't think we've done that one yet.
Yeah, that's when he's at. Yeah, you're right.
Boarding school,
Omen.
right? Doesn't he go to boarding
Yes,
school?
yes. With Lance Henriksen as his cadet leader. Anyway.
Mentor. You gotta stop showing off, Damien.
So yeah. And what happened to, what was the deal with Margie? Didn't Anna? Oh no. See, that's the thing.
She killed her.
There's these weird little lines, like keep him.
I thought she'd been stabbed or something.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
she
well,
said that she was trying to take you away from me.
Right. And Anna says something to him, keep the door shut. And he says, why is he here? She goes, yeah. So the creature was in the apartment. And
It's so
crazy.
weird. I know.
Yeah, Margie just seemed like a totally disposable character that didn't really, I don't know what her purpose was.
She was like the rebound.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the whole thing of the broken leg and limping on the cast, that was pretty strange. Okay, Bruno or Heinrich, I should say. I think the guy's name
so
is.
Heinrich,
wonderful.
what a guy!
Sprocket.
I didn't have a picture. I didn't put a picture of him in there, but yeah, that performance was definitely, like he was doing his own thing. He made everyone else seem kind of underplaying it.
He was crazy, but he
It was
played
almost
sort of
comedy.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he was saying was almost like comic relief in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a effed up character. He's so him and his mom are actually. I would hesitate to say that they're the two most effed up in this movie. And hear me out. Hear me out. Him saying, "Don't fight me. I'm stronger than you." What, dude? And then the weird relationship with his mom, and then his mom, "Where's my son's soul?" Like, The other two are dealing with some stuff, and they're super woo, but they kind of make sense. He's just.
I think Sam Neill was a little confused about Heinrich at first, and then he met his mother and went,
all makes sense.
It is interesting how that whole kind of turnabout went. Like he seemed like he kind of him going to the mom's house, and I was like, is he going to go to try to kill her, but he.
I think he was doing anything he could, no matter how dumb or stupid it seemed to do to try and save it. And I don't know if that was the influence of the evil making him do that, but it seemed like it was spreading around to everybody.
Yeah.
Involved.
Well, he was trying to. I mean, the fact that he told, so that the actor's name is Heinz Bennen. It was a working actor. He had 119 credits. Died in 2011 at the age of 90.
Holy moly!
Wow.
But he was great with his anger, his body control. I thought the weird stuff he was doing, and then that fight. I don't know.
Yeah, that was such a weird.
That was some Karate Kid stuff there.
That was the dumbest martial art I've ever seen.
I thought it was
Funny. It was so funny though. I was like, I think this movie needed him. Like, I truly think like it helped. I think made it feel lighter to me because I'm like, you can't take him seriously. You can't take the mom seriously. Where's my son's soul? What lady?
Well, yeah.
Out of all this is going on, and all I was thinking was, that's crazy. So I think it was meant to kind of mess with you in that way, because I really was like, God, she's crazy. And what, with everything going on, why was I so weird?
Yeah, it's one of those European art film things to suddenly have some character who starts talking about God and mortality and blah 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 blah. But yeah, that fight was the greatest fight since Guy Madden's Sissy Boy Slap Party from I forget what year that was. But yeah, that was just odd. And also, you didn't expect Sam Neill, the one, to get really pummeled. Like
the intelligence
Heinrich felt
guy,
bad about how
officer.
So I don't know.
But once a guy comes at you like this, you have no defense.
No.
You have no defense.
It's so funny.
Yeah, have one leg up in the air.
I love it.
But it's interesting because his character at the beginning was like, he thought he was in total control.
Yes.
Anna was his.
Yeah.
And the husband should just shut up and let her come to him. And then as time goes on, we find out he didn't have any more idea than Mark or Sam Neill's character does. And then in the end, Mark is like trying to get rid of him. I assume at the behest of the creature or Anna, or just to get him out of the picture.
Takes him out of the toilet bowl.
I think he just wanted to get rid of. Well, he wanted to save Anna. Is what I think.
Tells him where the creature is, right? Hoping he'd get killed, and that doesn't work. Then Anna stabbed it. That was nasty too.
Yeah.
Sticking that knife in him.
Nicking him. She kept nicking him with that knife.
Got him good in the side or the armpit or something.
Yeah,
did she not want to kill him though? Because I mean, she had opportunity to do it.
I thought she was going to. Honestly,
well, when the creature was about to get him, I think he acted like, how would you act if something was trying to control your body and you were fighting against it? That's the only thing I can think what they were going for. But that weird spinning around and down the hallway to get out of there. He was, anyway.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good addition. But yeah, ends his life with his head in the toilet bowl in the bar bathroom.
Oh, and then he puts the drugs. I guess that was drugs. Like around.
Oh, right. Whatever.
Sprinkle it. That's
like,
what I do.
That's
whenever
what they're
you
gonna
kill
say.
someone, always sprinkle some drugs around their body.
Make sure,
because that looks totally legit. Because most people, when they die, there's literally drugs all in their hair and clothes and everything.
And fingerprints everywhere.
Yeah.
Of his, like, hello.
Well, they probably figure once the cops find the dead body, literally encrusted with drugs, they don't even bother doing an autopsy or fingerprints. I mean, he's a drug addict who died. He was rolling around in amphetamines. I mean, come on.
Well, Mark put the toilet tank lid back, so they'll never think that might have been the murder weapon.
He's so smart.
I know, it's so funny.
Mark's a bright kid.
All right, well, let's do some final thoughts here. Anything that you want to say about this that you haven't said, or recommendations, whatever. And I'm give it to Chad first.
I like this movie. I really do. We were making fun a little bit about some of the stuff in it, but it's pure psychological horror for the first half, and then after that, it's monsterama and blood, guts, all that kind of stuff, gross stuff. But yeah, it is a hard watch. It's a hard watch. It was for me this time. It was hard. It's always hard to watch people go through that kind of thing. So yeah, it's hard to watch in some spots if you're prone to be sensitive or that kind of thing. But yeah, it was good. I like it. I still like it. I'm glad we had this opportunity to cover it too, and have such a good print to watch and everything like that. But yeah, it's a whole new ball game from when I was 15 and watched it. Yeah, so I like it.
I gotta stop for a second because we have to talk about that final scene.
Okay.
That was just odd. I mean, that was great. It was
the one with him on the
but he's
window?
pulling himself up the stairs. Yeah, he's pulled. Well, even before that,
where he's like on the window and she's like staring.
Or...
when he used the other girl as the human ladder and climbed to make his escape.
Yes.
Are you going to help me?
Mark's climbing up the stairway. She's coming up. I wanted to show him to you, and there he is, sparkling with his. That's another thing I think is new in the restoration is he has green eyes too, like Helen's. Where in the old versions you can't see that; it's shot too dark. So they restored the original intent in that spot. But yeah, and he comes up. He never gets a mark on him. The police are there. What's his?
They're shooting everything in sight, and he doesn't get a
mark. Yeah, Mark has been shot already, and he's bleeding, and he's crawling up. She runs up next to him, and then the police open up the stairwell with machine guns and every other thing. Although I think they're like spies too, right? It's like some of the people
probably
he worked for or something.
It was the people he worked
red
for.
hair guy with the pink socks.
Yeah.
But it felt like this movie could have went on to tell another movie. Because you had these creatures. You don't know what they are. They could be aliens for all we know. They could have been, magically or supernaturally created. We don't know, and we will never know. And that's one of the cool things about it. I think you just got all this stuff introduced to you, and bang, 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 here, and you better go for the ride or you're going to be lost.
And his doppelganger was weird to me because although he didn't do anything like overtly evil and was smiling and seemed pleasant and everything, I got the feeling he was bad news.
I did
like
too.
When that little kid knew, don't answer the door. There was something malevolent about the smile and the eyes and everything that just his doppelganger of her was this perfect woman. Her doppelganger of him is like the Antichrist.
I think that was just Sam Neill trying to play it really sweet. If I'm being honest, I think he was trying, but he was. You can help me. He just came off as crazy, like there's
even standing there on the
line.
stairway just to look at his eye. But when he goes to Helen, Johnny as the teacher goes to her place.
Yeah.
This frosted glass door. That's
like
normal.
He's still the squid guy.
Yeah. So, and then she shoots herself in the back, which couldn't be more awkward.
It didn't look too comfortable.
No, and was that to try to shoot them both in the
Maybe.
same shot or something? That is.
But he decides to take a header off the stairwell.
Yeah, he gets up, and goes over, and then I don't know.
Can't get dead enough.
And then the sirens start going off, and I think it's World War III, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was. You don't know. This could be an alien invasion, and these two. It could have been anything like that. You know what I mean? That's I thought that was pretty cool.
Well,
it's kind of that's what I was saying. Like it's kind of an invasion of the body snatchers feel in that regard. Like you see where his doppelganger came from, but where did hers come from? Because she was just there. So that's interesting.
Again, if I'm trying to make sense of the movie and try to impose some actual narrative reality to it, I would just say she doesn't look anything like his wife, but that's how he sees her, and that's why nobody else, like the little kid, doesn't say, "Boy, my teacher looks a lot like mommy," because that's not For all we know, she's
Right.
a middle-aged dumpy woman. I don't know.
So
She's sweet.
What
so.
happens? What happens to the kid? He goes running, screaming, "Don't open! Don't open! Don't open!"
Because he
Jumps into the
doesn't want
bathtub.
the parents back together because it's worse for the kids. He knows
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the
Or
whole
He
allegory
could
of
have had
divorce.
evil radar.
Yeah.
He knew
Sure,
that.
yeah.
The
It could be-
Kids are good like that.
Them kids with their
Sometimes
radar.
staying together is worse than separating.
See, that's cool though. Crystal came away with how
Yeah,
she
that's
saw it, and
right.
that's a
Which
cool
never
thing about
occurred
this
to me.
movie,
That's
too.
a
Yeah.
really interesting take on it. That hadn't
Well,
occurred.
and there is a place in the middle where Sam Neill says, "I'm leaving because it's going to be too hard on him, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be a Sunday dad." And it's you feel like he's being an asshole, but yet
He's trying to do the right thing.
you know.
But then you see what it is really both of these characters, when they are in their perfect form, the other forms, they're just pretending. They're not real. They're not really this person. That's why them pretending to be perfect and coming back together, they want to try to make their marriage work. But the kid is smarter than that. The kid's like, nah.
Right.
It's going to happen again. You two are going to get back to your old selves, your old blue-eyed selves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good take on that. I didn't.
Well, yeah,
that at
that
all.
is. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's what I saw. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. So, do we have more final thoughts, Bill or Crystal?
No, I would just say, look, this is not a film for all tastes at all. But if you're a little adventurous, if you like filmmaking, if you like the craft of film, and you're in the right mood for it, definitely give it a look, because there's some brilliance there. I think calling it a masterpiece is not overdoing it.
mm-hmm.
But I can see where you wouldn't feel that at all, and you'll be watching this like, what kind of drugs were the Grue-Crew on when they watched this movie? So and that's probably how I felt 20 years ago. My cat is trying to open the door by literally leaping onto the doorknob with her entire body, and
is that what I heard? Hit like
yeah.
It's not growing any tentacles of it still.
Oh, not yet. No, I won't put anything past him. Oh, you crazy cat.
Yeah, I think it is. I've loved this, and it's one of those movies where I can't really give you a real good explanation because it's not real clear what happens. But there's just some extremely powerful scenes, and where it goes to and ends up are as disturbing as all of it. It's the first 45 minutes is just basically a just extreme nasty breakup, right?
Lifetime channel movie.
Normally that bothers me, but I'll say with this movie it was so intense, and Sam Neill is so distraught that it was compelling for me. Normally I'm just like, oh God, here we go. But he was the fight in the restaurant, I was like, oh
yeah,
holy, it's on. Oh,
but another one, they go to meet to talk, and they sit at right angles to each other. Looking away from each other.
Then they're sitting in the kitchen taking turns mutilating themselves. Like, ugh.
Well, and she's grinding meat, and the whole thing
you're tense. You're tense waiting to see what's going to happen. Where are we going with this movie?
Yeah. All right. We need to end at some point. Gosh darn, we don't have any feedback tonight, but I would strongly recommend that listeners seek out the Metrograph, and I'll put a link in the blog that people can go to that and seek out that. If you don't live in New York, seek out the streaming, because the 4K makes it a lot different movie. I think a lot better.
Do not watch the old chopped up VHS version.
Oh yeah, don't watch the old 90-minute US version.
This one was a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Was it?
Version.
God,
4
it didn't
minutes.
feel that long. I can't believe how much I like this movie. It's so
That's good.
It's so not my typical.
Right.
But
this is the kind of movie you almost have to have multiple watches, because you start to see how the scenes fit together. When you don't, the first time through, they seem really disconnected. There's not
Right.
segues.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
sharp whiplash type cuts.
How many times have you watched it, Jeff?
I watched it 3 times in the last week.
Wow.
Jeez.
You a
Louise.
strong man.
Well, once on the 4K, once with my Blu-ray with the commentary, and then I watched it again with the 4K last night.
Jeff never sleeps.
Yeah.
I guess
don't.
not.
I don't. All right. Well, there are other factors involved in my time. Well, Grue Believers, that's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up, we tackle one chosen by Chad. It seems like deja vu. What's our next film? Oh, it's Rawhead Rex. Jim.
Oh God, do I have to watch it again?
I was going, is he joking? Is he playing a joke on me?
No, it's just
So,
going to play.
We
after
are
this.
doing
Yeah.
Rawhead Rex. We already did Rawhead Rex.
Oh,
that
thank
will
God.
be up 2 weeks from now. So this one we had to get out on a timely basis. Plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or better yet, like, subscribe,
Comment below.
comment, alerts, all that stuff.
Send us
We love
letters,
reading
snail mail.
feedback, and you guys, I don't know, we need to be more outrageous or something because we didn't get any comments. That was the last episode. All right.
Easily done.
Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.